Hello and welcome back. So let's do our texturing in Substance Designer. Let me go for File and then New Substance. Now I do have my own template that I created earlier. But it's not that complicated. What I have is basically a few nodes to give me 3 rows of production. So I start with the shape and then the roughness and then the color. And then the last line is actually the metallic. And I have some nodes like uniform colors to connect to those different inputs, outputs. So base color is a grayish color. Roughness is also grayish. And then for the shape, I have used a transformation 2D to connect to a normal node, to an ambient occlusion node, and that goes to, of course, normal and AO. And then also the transformation 2D goes to height. So basically those 3 defines the shape of the object. All right, and then those black lines are just frames, and they're just having no title, and they're just black. And so that's all I have. So to start with, I'm gonna go create a shape node. Oh, actually, let's start with creating the colors of the eye white. Okay, so that means I'm gonna create this guy called Scratch Generator. Okay, now this guy is basically creating scratches for metal or stuff like that, but it doesn't mean we cannot use it for something else. So what we can do is we can change the spline number to just 1 spline, meaning there is just 1 scratch. And in the spline rotation random, I'm gonna 0 that out, and scale can be just 1, no randomness. Okay, and also no position random, which is gonna be here. And no distortion frequency, actually distortion random, yeah. So that's gonna give me a flat line, more or less. Lower that down. It's really hard to see it. Let's see, spline scale, maybe I can make it, oh yeah, there's a width here. I can change that to 4. All right, you can see this is basically a shape that is really solid here and gradually fade out to the other end. What I can do here is go to the fade mode and change it to start and end, so I have this line here. Okay, if you look at it, it feels like some kind of like a vein. It's just too flat. What I can do now is go to the distortion and drag this up so it's distorting, and then I can change the frequency to make it distort more. Okay, now at some point it will feel more like a vein on the eyeball, right? Okay, so this is just one of them. Now after this, I can go start creating multiple variants of this guy. So one thing I can do is go create a directional warp, and we can warp it with a Perlin noise. Pretty typical technique, and drag the Perlin noise to the intensity input, and then I can change the warp angle to up, and then just drag the intensity up. What it does is basically making this it's really cool, like smaller variations in the middle. As you can see, if you double click here, you can see that's what it looks like before and after directional warp. We got something like this. Okay, so that's another one. And then with those 2 created, we can also create directional warp to warp them. So this guy, I can do another warp, and I can warp it again with the Perlin noise. All right, and that goes to there. But this time, I'm gonna make the Perlin noise, this one, to have bigger shapes. So drag the scale down. You can see now we have bigger shapes, and then back to the directional warp, I'm gonna also drag the angle up and drag the intensity. So that way you can see it's just gonna be another different variant of the same shape. Now I can make the intensity bigger, like I don't know, 100, so you can see what it does. Right, maybe lower down a little bit, and then I can maybe create a transformation 2D here just to move it back to the center. All right, so that's another variant. Okay, And then for this guy, we can do something similar, another directional warp, and we can warp it with a different, let's try Gaussian 2, see if this one can do something else. So let's connect that to here, and then we can warp it to the downward direction and change that to, again, 100. And see what it does is basically warping in this way to make a really archy shape. And then we can also go to the Gaussian, and we can create a transformation 2D after it. If you grab that line and do transformation 2D, you have, it's going to insert that one in the middle. And then I can double click to the directional warp to be able to visualize it, grab the transformation 2D, and then I can drag it around to define like how it's warped. Okay. All right, something like this, maybe. And then we do create another transformation 2D just to position it back to the center, which is pretty much already in there. So we have 4 different variants of the same like scratch shape, right? And then to populate those around the eyeball, I can use this node called splat circular. And then I need to use those guys as the input. It's gonna splat those 4 shapes in the circular shape, or you can see like how those dots are getting placed. To be able to do that, I need to go to the patterns and change it to image input, and I have 4 different variants. So the input number will be 4, and then we can connect all 4 of those guys to input 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. It's hard to see, but if you zoom in here, you can see those guys are actually over there. Afterwards, it's just gonna be the matter of tweaking these guys, this guy's attributes. So like pattern amount, okay, to get more or less, we can change the size, of course. So that's gonna be this guy, scale. And we can also change their orientation. So back here to the rotation, we can change it to 90 degrees. So they're facing actually inwards. And then we can introduce a lot of random. So maybe we can go all the way up to 1. Okay, you can see now it does feels like more like a lot of veins going across the surface of the eyeball. And then we can go change things like scale to be maybe 4. So we have bigger ones, and we can make some randomness. So some of the veins are smaller. In that case, I can even crank up the scale more. Okay, the radius here underneath position, or maybe here, yeah, position, is how you control how far away they're from the center. All right, so that's going to be some basic setup of the vents. Now we don't know how they looks like yet, so let's go ahead and grab our model and put it in to see how it looks like on the surface of our model. So to do that, we just need to go to the folders. So let's see where it is. Yeah, I set to UE4, and we can drag the eyeball into the, we cannot do that actually. I'm just copy that directory and right click here and then link 3D mesh, and we can then go there and grab the eyeball and open it. Okay, so that way we have this resources folder and we have the eyeball model. Now all we have to do is just drag this guy over here, and then you can see our eyeball already, and we can connect this guy to the transformation 2D. And to be able to visualize it here in the model, we can right click on the model, we can right click and view outputs in 3D. Now you can see we have the vents added around the eyeball. Should be on both sides already. All right, cool. So that's gonna be actually the shape. We can start tweaking a lot of things here to make it look a little bit more interesting. Like it's all up to you now to say, okay, I want more or less of the vents. So you can double that number to 128. You got more vents. You can change a lot of other variations like size-wise, you can change the scale random so you have more bigger, smaller ones. You can also go to the pattern rotation here just to rotate them in the way you want it to be. All right, and you can even scroll down all the way to the bottom. There is a luminance random, so some of the events are not as high as the others. You can even go to the random mask and drag that up. What it does is basically random in a random way. It's trying to delete some of the events. Okay, so that way you can get lesser but more like uneven distribution, and then you can go back to the pattern amount to have more if you feel like you're getting too little, too less. Okay, anyway, so a lot of things you can tweak here to get the result you want to go for. I'm just gonna say I'm happy with what I'm having and then move on. So one thing we could do, let me change the scale to be just a bit bigger. One thing we could do is we could actually make the vents to not go straight into the center. We can actually warp them out by using a warp node in the middle, and we create a shape node. And we change it to maybe that's, let's see, bell. I believe there's one that is allowing you to change the gradient. Oh, actually that's not the shape. I can create this guy called gradient radial, and that way I can drag this point to make it bigger or smaller, and that can go to the warp node. Okay, now if you go to the warp and you change the intensity, you can see what it does is basically warping things outwards, pushing them out. And I can go to the actual shape. Actually, I need to double click here to see the result. Grab the shape, you can drag this point out and you can see what it does. Oops. Right. I'm just gonna try to use the warp to warp things out from the center, and then I can change the intensity to maybe 10. So that's a lot of warping. You can see what it does is basically pushing everything outwards. So I don't want a lot of vents to be, of course, in the center, right? If you look at your eyes through the mirror, you don't really see a lot, maybe even not even one. So I'm not really wanted to have a lot of vents. I just wanted to have a little bit. Okay. All right. So I guess that's it for the shape building of this. Yeah. So let's move on to the next video. We can start talking about other things like the color of the eyeball. Okay. Cool. See you next time.